Genesis 37, Joseph's dream. So Jacob, which was Israel, lived in the land where his father Isaac had been a stranger, in the land of Canaan. These are the generations of Jacob. Joseph, when he was 17 years old, was shepherding the flock with his brothers, Dan, Naphtali, Gad, and Asher. The boy was with the sons of Bilhah and Zilpah, his father's secondary wives, and Joseph brought back a bad report about them to their father. Now Israel loved Joseph more than all his children. Favoritism once again, because he was the son of his old age, and he made him a distinctive multicolored tunic. His brothers saw that their father loved Joseph more than all his brothers. They hated him. That's what's going to happen when you have favoritism, family, hatred between the two. Don't do that. And it says, his brothers saw they loved him more than anything, so they hated him and could not find it within themselves to speak to him on friendly terms. Now Joseph dreamed a dream, and he told it to his brothers, and they hated him even more. And he said to them, please listen to the details of his dream, which I have dreamed. We brothers were binding sheaves of grain, stalks in the field, and lo, my sheaf suddenly got up and stood upright and remained standing. And behold, your sheaves stood all around my sheaf and bowed down in respect. His brother said to him, are you actually going to reign over us? Are you really going to rule and govern us as your subjects? They hated him even more for telling them about his dreams and for his arrogant words. But Joseph dreamed still another dream, and he told his brothers as well. He said, see here, I've again dreamed a dream, and lo, this time I saw 11 stars, and the suns and the moon bowed down in respect to me. He told it to his father as well, to his brothers, but his father rebuked him and said to him in disbelief, what is the meaning of this dream that you have dreamed? Shall I and your mother and your brothers actually come to bow down in the ground to respect you? Joseph's brothers were envious and very jealous of him, but his father kept the words of Joseph in mind, wondering about their meaning. Then his brothers went to pasture their father's flock near Shechem, and Israel said to Joseph, are not your brothers pasturing the flock at Shechem? Come, and I will send you to them. And he said, here I am, ready to obey you. Then Jacob said to him, please go and see whether everything is all right with your brothers and all right with the flock. Then bring word back to me. So he sent him from the Hebron valley, and he went to Shechem. Now a certain man found Joseph and saw that he was wandering around and had lost his way in the field. So the man asked him, what are you looking for? And he said, I am looking for my brothers. Please tell me where they are pasturing our flocks. Then the man said, they were here, but now they've moved on from this place. I heard them say, let's go to Dothan. So Joseph went after his brothers and found them at Dothan. So now they have a plot against Joseph. When they saw him from a distance, even before he came to them, they plotted to kill him. They said to one another, look, here comes this dreamer. Now then, come and let us kill him and throw him into one of the pits, the cisterns, the underground water storage. Then we will say to our father, a wild animal killed and devoured him, and we shall see what will become of his dreams. Now Reuben, the eldest, heard this and rescued him from their hands and said, let us not take his life. Reuben said to them, do not shed his blood, but instead throw him alive into the pit that is here in the wilderness, and do not lay a hand on him to kill him. He said this so that he could rescue him from them and return to him safely to his father. Now when Joseph reached his brothers, they stripped him of his tunic, the distinctive multicolored tunic which he was wearing, and then they took him and threw him into the pit. Now the pit was empty, and there was no water in it. And then they sat down to eat their meal. When they looked up, they saw a caravan of Ishmaelites coming from Gilead, east of the Jordan, with their camels bearing perfume, balm, and myrrh, going on their way to carry the cargo down to Egypt. And Judah said to his brothers, what do we gain if we kill our brother and cover up his blood? The murder. Come, let us instead sell him to these Ishmaelites and the Midianites, and not lay our hands on him, because he is our brother in our flesh. So the brothers listened to him and agreed. Then as the Israelites' traders were passing by, the brothers pulled Joseph up and lifted him out of the pit, and they sold him to the Ishmaelites for 20 shekels of silver. And so they took Joseph as captive into Egypt. Could you imagine your family just selling you? Like just getting rid of you? Now Reuben, unaware of what had happened, returned to the pit, and to his great alarm he found that Joseph was not in there, and he tore his clothes in sorrow. He rejoined his brothers and said, the boy is not there. As for me, where shall I go to hide from my father? Then they took Joseph's tunic, slaughtered a male goat, and dipped the tunic in blood. And they brought the multicolored tunic to their father, saying, we have found this. Please examine it and decide whether it is not your son's tunic. And he recognized it, and it is my son's tunic. A wild animal has devoured him, and Joseph is without doubt torn to pieces. So Jacob tore his clothes in griefs and put on sackcloth and mourned many days for his son. Then all his sons and daughters attempted to console him, but he refused to be comforted and said, I will go down to Sheol, the place of the dead, in the morning for my son. And his father wept for him. Meanwhile, in Egypt, the Midianites sold Joseph as a slave to Potiphar, the officer of Pharaoh and the captain of the royal guard. We're going to see that even though his brothers did not want him, and they were doing everything to get rid of him, and how Joseph had so much stuff going against him, and he was so treated so unfairly, and for what? It wasn't even his fault. We're going to find out how God continued to bless him. This is your daily Bible chapter reading God's Word Monday through Friday. See you tomorrow.